Welcome to Walt Disney World Clicks. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we are getting started in the Magic Kingdom, where we are saying goodbye to Heritage House. Now, that's this building over on the right, to the right side of Hall of Presidents. Heritage House is a shop. It calls itself the Historical Research Center. You'll see it, a sign saying something like that in a couple of different spots. It's actually just a shop at the exit to Hall of Presidents, and it looks like this inside on the last day of operation, which was on January 4. Now, it's presently configured to sell things that are in holiday mode, perhaps. It used to sell things that was Nightmare Before Christmas oriented, and for many, many years it was selling things that were more patriotic oriented, so things about the United States of America. And they still have some of that merchandise, as you can see here, so copies of historical documents, let's say, and then pressed pennies that are associated with Hall of Presidents. But the shop never really had much of an identity, so I'm not too surprised that they ended up closing it. Now, in one corner of the shop, they did have this heraldry type setup where you could look up your name and get your crest, perhaps, or your family history printed onto a nice piece of paper and then sold to you that way. They do have books about the presidents themselves and some merchandise available. Not sure what will happen to that after it closes. Another location closure is coming in the form of Seven Dwarfs Mine. That's the shop next to the Princess meet and greet area. And this was a remnant, of course, of when Seven Dwarfs was the attraction right there opposite the carousel, and it made sense for the attraction to have a gift shop exiting out into something of the same theme. Well, now the theme doesn't match quite the same because the Seven Dwarfs attraction is going to be across the way a little bit, so presumably they're going to do some kind of gift shop across the way over there and maybe make this more of a princess-oriented theme, since it's now the exit for, you can see it over on the side here, the Princess Fairy Tale Hall. So just showing you some of the theming, including the roof line, the ceiling line inside, as well as the signage and the props that they had lying around. See it on the sides there near the tops. And they did have some signage implying that these were the baubles for sale. I've always loved this kind of ore cart looking decoration for the outside of the refrigerator there. A little bit of construction wall has come to the outside of this DVC area. This is opposite the Little Mermaid attraction. And then at the Friars Nook, which is actually right next to Seven Dwarfs Mine, they used to sell fresh-made potato chips with things like chicken and teriyaki sauce and so forth. And as you can tell, they've now added these upscale macaroni and cheese entrees. So bacon cheeseburger, blue cheese with balsamic, or just topped with panko breadcrumbs. And so this is what the blue cheese and balsamic looks like. And this is the cheeseburger one. Now you can tell it's a bacon cheeseburger. It's actually all the ingredients minus the bread of a bacon cheeseburger put onto the top inch or so of very creamy, very cheesy mac and cheese. It's not their usual Stouffer's recipe, I don't think. It's actually very rich, and I thought it tasted very good, both of the dishes. As you could tell, however, they were a little bit expensive, so it's something more of a treat, perhaps, than just something to get every week that you're there. If you're a local visitor like me, that is. So we're also here to say goodbye to the parade, which, as you can see, making its way down Main Street. It had its final day also this past week. Celebrate a Dream Come True Parade has had a couple of different names over the years. In fact, you can tell in some cases, you can see where they used to have snow globes over some of these original floats. It is a character-rich parade, and you can see lots of characters both on the floats and off of them. Thought I would dwell while we're here on the Pinocchio float to point out something I didn't even notice until the very last performance. There's a Walt and Mickey down here, the partners statue, done in woodwork. The backside of that same float has some Snow White and Seven Dwarf call-outs, and then the Aladdin characters come just before an Aladdin float itself will come. There's the Aladdin float. And the Aladdin float has some other characters mixed in as well. So Bianca and Bernard from The Rescuers, and then the Stork and Dumbo from Dumbo, as well as on the backside, Mary Poppins and Bert from the Mary Poppins movie. Then the mixing of characters continues. You can see with the Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland characters sharing this castle float. So a lot of characters doing the little heart symbol. This seems to be what they do on this parade, and the Fairy Godmother would do that as well. I didn't capture it in a photo for you, but nevertheless, that's one of the things that the characters will do in addition to waving at you. Lots of dancers in between, and then this castle float, which has been around for many, many years and many, many parades, always home to the Disney princesses in recent parade memory. And then a number of cast members saying goodbye to the parade as it ended, as they were well aware it was the final parade. Now, a question for you. The Diane Disney Miller window on Main Street has a lamp directly behind it. In the evenings, this lamp is lit up. I don't know that I've noticed this window, particularly in the evenings before. It could be this lamp has always been there. But it could also be that this lamp has recently come into being as a tribute to Diane Disney Miller after her death, in the same way that Walt Disney has a lamp in his window over the firehouse on Main Street in Disneyland. So if anyone knows anything about that, please let us know in the comments. So here's the current status of the Seven Dwarfs Mine coaster. Peeking in through the windows around a couple of different spots. That one building is getting even more added to the outside of it. It's getting harder and harder to see through all the shrubbery and the fencing that they've put into place. We'll do our best to show you some of the angles and zoom in on them when it's relevant. You can see the track is mostly being covered up, looking more like Big Thunder every day and less like a bare unthemed steel roller coaster. Although we can still see some of the tracks here in these views. Now, I also stopped by Fun Spot. This is Fun Spot Kissimmee, which has a new 360-degree cinema that I don't think I've seen before. It's part of an upsale. And they've renamed the spinning coaster to the Rockstar spinning coaster. All right, time for our game. Where in Walt Disney World was this? Here was last week's challenge, and a number of you did get it correct in the comments. This was, in fact, from Donald's boat, which was in Mickey's Toontown Fair. This is the inside of the boat, and we were zoomed in on just one corner over here. And the challenge for next week, here you go. Where in Walt Disney World was this? Leave your answer in the comment section below. We'll see you next week if you're right. That does it for us this time. We thank you, as always, for your attention, and we will catch you next week.